Have you ever loved someone so deeply that you forgot who you were, until they reminded you you'd never been enough? Those words echoed in Kim Young's mind long before he ever met Keisha Jackson. It was a rainy evening in Seoul, the kind of rain that painted the streets silver and made the city glow like a dream. Kim stood by the hospital's tall glass window, staring at the blurred lights outside. He was 26, brilliant, and heir to a family that worshipped medicine like a religion. His name alone carried power. Yet, that night, he felt empty, trapped inside a life that was already written for him. Inside the same hospital, Keisha Jackson rushed down the hallway, holding a tray of diet charts. She was new, a Nigerian dietitian who spoke Korean with a soft accent and smiled through every challenge. Her dark skin and bright eyes stood out among the pale uniforms and cold faces. People stared. Some whispered. But Keisha didn't flinch. She was used to being the outsider. Fate crossed their paths in the most unexpected way. A commotion broke out near the ER. A man collapsed in the lobby. Kim Young, though still a student, rushed forward to help. Keisha followed, dropping her tray. Together, they worked side by side under the harsh white lights. For a moment, the world fell silent. Keisha, you're not even a doctor yet. Kim, panting then tonight, pretend I am. Their hands brushed as they performed CPR. When the man regained consciousness, they both looked up, breathless, soaked, eyes locked. Something electric passed between them, stronger than reason. Later that night, under the rain-soaked entrance of the hospital, Kim waited for her. He didn't know why. He just did. When she walked out, clutching her umbrella, he spoke without thinking. Kim, you were amazing today. Keisha, smiling shyly, I was scared. Kim, then I wasn't the only one. She laughed, a small, real laugh that made his heart twist. That was the moment everything changed. From that night, Kim started finding excuses to see her. He lingered by the cafeteria. He volunteered for shifts where she worked. His friends teased him. His mother noticed his growing distance from the family dinners. Mrs. Kim, coldly, who is she? Kim, someone who makes me want to be better. Mrs. Kim, then she's dangerous. But Kim didn't care. He found peace in Keisha's small rented apartment in Itaewon, with cheap instant noodles, shared laughter, and soft music playing from her old phone. They dreamed of running away, of starting a life where no one cared about family names or hospital titles. For a while, love felt enough. Until reality began to creep in. Rumors spread. Hospital staff whispered about the foreign girl dating the heir of the Kim family. Kim's classmates laughed behind his back. His father summoned him home one night, his tone colder than the marble floor. Mr. Kim, you think love feeds you? You think love pays tuition? Kim, quietly, no, father. But love makes life worth it. That sentence cost him everything. By morning, his tuition was cut off. His car taken. His access card revoked. He had become a stranger in his own home, for choosing a woman who had nothing but love to give. Yet, when he told Keisha, she didn't cry. She only looked at him with trembling lips. Keisha, then we'll make it together. I'll work harder. You'll find a way back. We'll fight the world. Her hope was fierce. His heart burned with belief. But beneath that fire, fate was already sharpening its knife. Because in Seoul, love stories don't end with kisses. They end with storms. Do you still want to marry me, even if the whole world turns its back? Those were Kim Young's trembling words on the night before the wedding, a question that sounded more like a warning than a promise. Keisha Jackson looked at him through the dim light of her small Itaewon apartment. The rain beat against the windows like drums, echoing the storm inside their hearts. She held his hand, her voice soft but steady. Keisha, I'd rather be hated for loving you than be loved for leaving you. That was all he needed to hear. The next morning, under a cold grey sky, Kim and Keisha exchanged vows in a small chapel tucked between narrow Seoul streets. There were no guests in suits, no camera flashes, no orchestra playing violins, just them, the sound of their beating hearts, and an old pastor who smiled as if he could already see the war that waited for them. Kim's family didn't come. His father sent a check wrapped in an envelope that said "End it now." His mother didn't even send a message. But Kim didn't care. When he saw Keisha walking toward him in her simple cream dress, her curls tied neatly, her eyes shining like hope itself, the rest of the world disappeared. Pastor, do you, Kim Young, take this woman? Kim, cutting in, I already do. They laughed. They kissed. For a moment, love felt invincible. But Seoul is a city that remembers. And it doesn't forgive easily. The gossip spread like wildfire. The Kim heir had married a foreigner. A black woman. The whispers grew louder in the hospital hallways and medical circles. Kim lost friends overnight. His professors began to look through him instead of at him. Bills started arriving before paychecks. Keisha worked overtime, counseling patients and skipping meals. Kim took a job as a pharmaceutical salesman, trading stethoscopes for samples and sales pitches. Every night, he came home late, his white shirt wrinkled, his eyes heavy with failure. Their small apartment grew quieter with each passing day. The laughter that once filled the walls was replaced by sighs and silence. One night, after yet another rejection call, Kim threw his phone across the room. Kim, angrily, they don't even let me into clinics anymore. I used to be someone. Keisha. Keisha, softly, you still are, just not to them. Kim, snapping, you don't understand. You've never had everything taken from you. Keisha, whispering, no. I just never had anything to begin with. Her words cut deep, not out of spite, but out of truth. Days turned into months. Kim became restless, haunted by the memory of his lost dreams. Keisha, despite her exhaustion, tried to keep their home alive, cooking, saving, smiling through pain. But every time he looked at her, all he saw was the reflection of what he'd lost. Then came the dinner invitation. Mrs. Kim, his mother, had requested a family reconciliation. Keisha begged him not to go, but he insisted. Kim, maybe she wants to fix things. Keisha, or maybe she just wants to break us again. That evening, Keisha dressed carefully, a white blouse, a calm smile. She wanted to be accepted. But the moment she entered the Kim mansion, the air turned poisonous. The dinner table glittered with silverware and lies. Mrs. Kim never looked at her directly, she only spoke through her. Mrs. Kim, smiling coldly, do you like the food, Miss Jackson? It's Korean, a little too strong for foreign taste, isn't it? Keisha, forcing a smile, not at all. I like strong things. They survive longer. The room froze. Kim tried to hold her hand under the table, but Mrs. Kim saw it. Her voice rose, sharp and cold as steel. Mrs. Kim, you've destroyed my son's future. You've turned him into a beggar. And you dare to sit at my table? Kim stood up, his face pale. Kim, enough, mother. Mrs. Kim, furious, enough? You think love will feed you? You think that woman? Keisha stood too, trembling but firm. Keisha, that woman has a name. And she's tired of fighting for space at your table. Silence. Even the servants stopped moving. Kim took Keisha's hand and walked out, into the cold night, the gate slamming behind them like a warning. That night, in their tiny apartment, they sat in silence. Kim's head rested in his hands. Keisha stared at their framed wedding photo, the one where they were smiling like children who believed in forever. Keisha, quietly, maybe love isn't enough anymore. Kim, broken, don't say that. But she didn't answer. She just turned off the light. And in the darkness of that small room, their love, the one they thought could conquer the world, began to crumble. The winter in Seoul was colder than usual that year. The wind carried not just snow, but distance, the kind that crept quietly between Kim Young and Keisha Jackson. Their apartment, once full of warmth and laughter, now echoed with silence. The air smelled of burnt noodles and sleepless nights. The bills on the table were unpaid, the fridge half empty, and their dreams, those bright, foolish dreams, were fading like fog. Kim came home late again that night, the sound of his key scraping against the lock waking Keisha from a shallow sleep. He looked tired, his once proud shoulders slouched, his tie hanging loose like defeat. You didn't eat again, she asked. Didn't have time. Had to meet another client, Kim said. You've been saying that for weeks. Because it's true, he said. Her voice trembled, but she didn't cry. She was too tired for tears. You're changing, Kim. I don't even recognize you anymore. Maybe you never really knew me. The words hung heavy in the air, sharp, cruel, and final. That night, Kim slept on the couch. Keisha lay awake, staring at the ceiling, wondering when love had turned into survival. Days passed. Kim's job drained him. The doctors who once praised him now ignored him. He'd visit clinics, bowing, begging, smiling through rejection. His pride broke piece by piece. He stopped smiling altogether. Keisha worked long hours at the wellness center, caring for strangers while her own heart starved. People admired her strength, her calm, her kindness. But inside, she was breaking too. Every night they fought, not over love, but over life. Over the things they couldn't give each other. Over the future they no longer believed in. One evening, Keisha came home early, hoping to surprise him with dinner. She cooked his favorite, spicy kimchi stew, and lit a small candle on the table. But as the clock ticked past midnight, the food went cold. When Kim finally came in, his shirt reeked of alcohol and frustration. "You promised you'd come home early," Keisha said quietly. "I didn't promise I'd be happy doing it," he said. "Do you even love me anymore?" she asked. "Does it even matter?" Her chest tightened. That was the first time he didn't answer with "of course." She looked at him, this man she'd once called her miracle, and saw a stranger with tired eyes. "You gave up your dream for me. Maybe that's why you hate me now. Don't turn this into guilt, Keisha. You wanted this life too." "No, Kim. I wanted you. Not the ashes of what's left." Silence again. Only the flicker of the dying candle separated them. Weeks later, the final blow came. Kim's boss called him into the office. His sales were down, his attitude worse. He was fired without a second thought. That night, he walked for hours through the frozen streets of Seoul, trying to swallow his shame. When he finally returned home, Keisha was waiting, her coat on, her face pale but calm. "We can't keep pretending, Kim. This isn't love anymore. You're leaving?" "I'm surviving," she said. He reached out to hold her, but she stepped back. For the first time, she looked at him not as a lover, but as a memory she needed to escape. "You once told me you'd give me the world. But I never asked for it. I just wanted you to stay kind." She placed her wedding ring on the table, the same table where they once ate together, dreamed together, and promised forever. "Keisha, please. No. Sometimes love has to end before it kills what's left of us." She opened the door, the winter wind rushing in like a final goodbye. Kim stood there, staring at the empty doorway long after she was gone. The ring glimmered under the dim light, a small, cruel reminder of everything he had destroyed. Outside, the snow kept falling, covering the city in white, as if trying to hide their pain. And somewhere, beneath that frozen sky, two hearts that once beat as one drifted apart, each wondering if love was ever meant to last. Time doesn't heal everything, it just teaches you how to hide the pain better. 6 years had passed since Keisha Jackson walked out of that tiny Itaewon apartment and left Kim Young standing in silence. 6 years since love had turned to dust. 6 years since they promised themselves never to look back. But fate has a way of laughing at human promises. Seoul had changed, the streets brighter, the skyline taller, but the ghosts of the past still lived in every shadow. Keisha stood before the towering glass doors of Daehan University Hospital, her reflection trembling in the polished surface. She was no longer the timid dietitian who once chased love more than ambition. Now, she wore a crisp white coat, her name embroidered neatly, Dr. Keisha Jackson, intern, emergency medicine. She took a deep breath. "Keisha," to herself, "you worked for this. You bled for this. Don't let anyone take it away again." Her hands shook, but her eyes, those bold, burning eyes, didn't. Inside, the hospital buzzed with urgency. The smell of disinfectant and adrenaline filled the air. The intercom called for emergency response teams. Doctors and interns rushed past, white coats fluttering like wings. And somewhere among them was him. Kim Young adjusted his surgical gloves, standing in the trauma room as alarms blared. He had changed too, sharper jawline, colder eyes, a calm that came from too many nights without rest. He was no longer the boy who sold medicines door to door. He had fought his way back, one exam, one sleepless night at a time. But despite his new success, the hollowness inside him never left. His colleagues called him Dr. Kim the Ice Wall, brilliant, efficient, emotionless. They didn't know the truth, that once, he'd felt too much and lost everything. As the ER doors burst open, a patient was wheeled in, bleeding, gasping, chaos all around. Kim barked orders sharply, his voice cutting through panic. BP's dropping. Clamp that artery, now. A nurse handed him instruments. Another intern moved beside him, steady and quick. Hold pressure here. Already done, Keisha said firmly. He froze. That voice, calm, low, steady, pierced through the noise like lightning. He turned. And there she was. Keisha Jackson, eyes locked on his, hands covered in blood, hair tied back, face illuminated by the sterile lights. The world around them blurred. The beeping monitors, the shouting nurses, even the patient, all disappeared for one suspended second. Keisha. Focus, Dr. Kim. The patient's not going to save himself. Her tone was professional, emotionless. But beneath it, her pulse raced. They worked in silence, their movements perfectly in sync, just like before. It was as if their hearts still remembered the rhythm they once shared. When the surgery ended successfully, a nurse clapped softly. The team dispersed. But they remained, two ghosts in the same room. I didn't know you were back in Korea. I never left. I just left you, she said. The words hit him harder than he expected. You became a doctor. And you stopped being human, she replied. She turned to leave, but he grabbed her wrist, not hard, but desperate. Keisha, please, can we talk? About what? The past. It's already buried. Her voice broke slightly, but she didn't let him see. She walked out, her white coat swaying behind her like a flag of defiance. Kim stood there, staring at the door she had just passed through, his chest tight. The scent of antiseptic and memory clung to the air. Later that evening, in the hospital cafeteria, whispers spread like wildfire. Did you hear? Dr. Kim and the new intern knew each other before. Really? She's that Nigerian doctor, right? No wonder he looked shaken. The rumors grew faster than the truth ever could. That night, Keisha sat alone in the residence lounge, staring at her reflection in the window. Seoul glittered below her, distant and cold. You're stronger now. She whispered to herself, don't fall again. Not for him. Not for anyone. But deep inside, a quiet voice whispered something she didn't want to admit. She still loved him. And somewhere down the hall, Kim stood in the dark, watching her from a distance through the glass wall, his heart breaking all over again. You can bury love, Keisha, but it always finds its way back. The emergency room of Daehan University Hospital never slept. The sirens wailed, stretchers rolled in, and the smell of metal and fear clung to the air. Every second mattered. Every heartbeat was a battle. For Kim Young and Keisha Jackson, it became a war zone, not just for the patients they saved, but for the love they were trying to bury. The chief of emergency, Dr. Han Woojin, had no idea about their history. To him, they were just two talented doctors with exceptional teamwork. And so, he made the cruelest mistake of all, assigning them to the same rotation. You two work well together. I like that energy. Let's keep it up. Keisha, forcing a smile, of course, sir. Yes, Sir, Kim said quietly. But the moment Dr. Han turned his back, the tension thickened like fog. Days bled into nights. The hospital lights became their sun and moon. They handled trauma cases side by side, gunshot wounds, car crashes, burn victims. Each time, their hands moved with the same rhythm, as if their bodies remembered something their hearts were trying to forget. But between those silences, emotions trembled beneath the surface. One night, after a chaotic shift, they sat across from each other in the staff room. Keisha's hair was messy, her scrub stained, her eyes red with exhaustion. Kim handed her a bottle of water. You did well today. Don't talk to me like we're friends, she said without looking up. I'm not. I'm talking to you like someone who still cares. Then stop caring. It's easier. She stood to leave, but he caught her wrist gently. The touch burned, not painful, but familiar. You still get nervous before surgery. I saw your hands shaking. And you still think you know me. I do, he said. Keisha, pulling free, then you should have fought for me. Her words hit him like a blade. Before he could respond, her pager beeped. Another emergency. Another escape. The next night tested them both. A bus accident flooded the ER, dozens injured, blood everywhere, screams filling the hallways. Keisha and Kim were thrown into chaos together, side by side again. Get the oxygen ready, he said. Pulse is dropping. His crashing, she replied. No one dies tonight. Not one. They fought for every life, every breath. Sweat mixed with blood. Keisha's voice cracked as she called out orders. Kim's hands trembled as he stitched wounds faster than his heart could beat. When the last patient stabilized, they stood there, exhausted, breathing heavily, covered in red. Their eyes met across the room. "You haven't changed. You still try to save everyone," she whispered. "Not everyone. I couldn't save us." Silence. She turned away, her jaw tightening. Her heart screamed at her to run, but her legs wouldn't move. Later that night, when the ER finally quieted, they found themselves alone on the rooftop. The same city beneath them, the same stars above, but 1,000 unspoken words between them. "Do you ever regret it?" she asked. "Every single day." "Then why didn't you come for me?" "Because I thought you deserved peace. And I didn't." A tear slipped down her cheek, catching the light like glass. She quickly wiped it away. "Don't do that. Don't make me remember what it felt like to love you." He stepped closer, not enough to touch, but enough for her to feel the warmth she'd tried to forget. "I never stopped loving you, Keisha." "Keisha," shaking her head, "you should have." The rooftop wind blew between them, carrying the ghosts of their past, the laughter, the fights, the promises. For a long moment, neither spoke. Down below, an ambulance siren wailed, a reminder that time doesn't stop for broken hearts. Keisha turned to leave, her voice barely a whisper. "We can save lives together, Kim. But we can't save what's already dead." And she walked away into the night, her footsteps echoing like a heartbeat fading in the distance. Kim stood there, staring after her, the cold air biting his skin. "Then why does it still feel alive?" he whispered to himself. "They say the past is dead, but what if it comes back wearing a white coat and a smile that lies?" A month had passed since Keisha and Kim were assigned together in the ER. On the surface, they worked like professionals, calm, composed, perfectly synchronized. But underneath that calm, something dangerous simmered. Unspoken feelings. Unfinished wounds. Unforgiven love. And then, she returned. Han Sujin. The woman Kim's mother had once wanted him to marry. The one he'd left behind for Keisha. She walked into Daehan University Hospital like she owned it, her heels clicking, her red lips curving in a smirk that could slice glass. She was beautiful, polished, and poisonous. Well, if it isn't the famous Dr. Kim. "I heard you're still saving lives, and ruining your own." Kim froze. "Sujin," he said quietly, his tone firm but weary. "Don't sound so tense. I'm the new surgical consultant here. Looks like we'll be working together again," she said. When Keisha heard her name during morning briefing, her stomach twisted. The moment she saw Sujin standing beside Kim, her manicured hand brushing his sleeve like a memory, her heart clenched. The hospital turned into a battlefield of silent glances and whispered poison. Sujin moved through the halls like perfume, invisible but impossible to ignore. She complimented Kim in meetings, brought him coffee, laughed at jokes he didn't tell. Everyone noticed. Especially Keisha. Dr. Han seems close to Dr. Kim. They used to be engaged, right? And that new Nigerian intern? "I think she likes him too," another intern said. "Poor thing. She doesn't stand a chance." The rumors spread fast. At first, Keisha ignored them. She buried herself in work, determined to prove herself through skill, not gossip. But every time she passed the surgical ward, she saw Sujin standing beside Kim, too close, too comfortable. And Kim, he didn't push her away. One night, after a long shift, Keisha walked past the doctor's lounge. She heard laughter, soft, familiar, cruel. Peeking through the half-open door, she saw Sujin handing Kim a cup of coffee. "Do you still take it black? Or did she change that too?" Sujin asked. "You shouldn't talk about her," Kim said. "Why not? She's the reason your family turned their back on you. The reason you almost quit medicine. Tell me, Kim, do you ever resent her?" Keisha froze. Her chest tightened. She stepped back before hearing his answer. That night, she couldn't sleep. Every whisper, every stare, every fake smile from Sujin dug deeper into her heart. Days later, everything exploded. A serious case arrived, a young mother in critical condition. During the surgery, tension rose. Kim and Keisha disagreed on the treatment plan. "We can't wait. We need to operate now, Kim said. Her blood pressure's unstable. We'll lose her, she replied. Dr. Kim is right. Maybe Dr. Jackson should stick to observation until she learns more, Sujin said. The words were sharp. The tone, venomous. Keisha froze, the sting burning deeper than any wound. But she held her ground. If she dies, her child becomes an orphan. I won't gamble with that, Keisha said. The chief sided with Keisha's call. The patient lived. Everyone applauded, everyone except Sujin, who smiled thinly as if already plotting her next move. That evening, as Keisha left the hospital, she found Sujin waiting near the elevator, leaning against the wall like a predator waiting for prey. You must feel proud. One successful call doesn't make you his equal, Sujin said. I don't need to be his equal. I just need to be myself, Keisha replied. Sujin smirked. And who is that, really? The charity case who stole a doctor's heart? The foreign girl his mother will never accept. Keisha's eyes burned with tears, but she didn't flinch. You talk too much for someone who already lost him once, Keisha said, her tone sharp. Sujin's smirk vanished. Let's see how long you can keep him this time, Sujin replied. That night, the storm came. Sujin leaked old photos of Kim and Keisha to the hospital gossip blog, pictures from their marriage, from their time in Itaewon. Within hours, the whole hospital buzzed. They were married. No wonder he looks at her like that. His mother's going to explode. And she did. Mrs. Kim arrived at the hospital the next morning, her voice like ice. You humiliated us once. Now you dare show your face here? Mrs. Kim said. Keisha stood still, trembling but refusing to bow. I came here to save lives, not destroy reputations, Keisha replied. You destroyed my sons. You think a woman like you belongs beside a Kim? Mrs. Kim asked. Before Keisha could reply, Kim appeared. He'd heard everything. Mother, stop, Kim said. You're defending her again, she replied. Always, Kim said with steel in his eyes. The hallway went silent. Mrs. Kim's hand shook. Her face turned pale. Then suddenly, she gasped, clutching her chest. Someone call for help, Keisha screamed. She dropped to her knees, taking charge, her voice steady even as fear clawed at her throat. BP's falling. We need a stretcher, now, she said. Kim froze in horror. He watched as Keisha, the woman his mother despised, fought to save her life. In that moment, something inside him broke. He realized that love wasn't about who society approved of, it was about who stayed when everything fell apart. That night, as his mother lay unconscious in the ICU, Kim stood by her bedside, holding her hand. He looked through the glass wall and saw Keisha sitting outside, silent and alone, her eyes swollen from tears. You saved the woman who ruined you, and I still let you suffer alone, Kim whispered. He stepped outside, walking toward her slowly, his voice shaking. Keisha, I'm sorry. For everything, he said. Sorry doesn't undo the pain, she replied. No. But maybe it can start to heal it, he said. For the first time in years, she didn't walk away. She just looked at him, tired, broken, but still with love buried somewhere beneath the ashes. And in that silence, something fragile and unfinished began to stir again. Not forgiveness, not yet, but hope. The hospital was silent that morning, but beneath the polished floors and white coats, whispers moved like smoke. Everyone was talking about one thing, the heart attack. Mrs. Kim, the matriarch of the powerful Kim family, had collapsed in the hospital lobby just the day before. And the woman who saved her life was the same one she hated most, Keisha Jackson. But what no one expected was that saving her would come at a deadly cost. Mrs. Kim lay unconscious in the intensive care unit. Machines beeped softly beside her bed. Kim Young hadn't moved from her side in hours. His eyes were red, his fingers cold, his thoughts spinning. He couldn't stop replaying the moment, his mother falling, Keisha screaming for help, the chaos that followed. She saved her, she actually saved her, Kim whispered to himself. When Keisha entered the ICU, her voice was quiet, trembling slightly. How is she? Keisha asked. Stable, for now, he said. He looked up at her. His eyes softened for the first time in years. You didn't have to help her after everything she said to you, he said. I'm a doctor, Kim. I don't choose who deserves saving, she replied. Her words hit him like truth itself, simple, pure, and painful. But outside the ICU, something darker was brewing. Sujin watched from the hallway, her expression unreadable. She'd spent the entire night twisting the narrative, whispering in the right ears, planting poisonous seeds. By morning, the rumor had spread like wildfire. Dr. Jackson gave Mrs. Kim the wrong medication. They said she hesitated before calling for backup. Maybe it wasn't an accident. Keisha had no idea what was coming. That afternoon, she was summoned to the director's office. The chief of surgery, Dr. Han, sat behind the desk, his expression grave. 2 board members were present, their faces cold and official. Dr. Jackson, there's been a complaint regarding your handling of Mrs. Kim's case. Dr. Han said. A complaint? From who? She replied. We can't disclose that. But the accusation is serious. A board member said. I saved her life. Keisha said. And yet, her vitals crashed during your supervision. Some are saying it was negligence. The board member replied. Her hands went cold. Her heart pounded in her ears. This isn't true, she whispered. You'll be placed under temporary review until the investigation is over. Dr. Han said. The room spun. She could barely breathe. By evening, her name was all over the hospital forums. Foreign intern accused of malpractice. Was it revenge? She wanted to prove herself too much. Keisha walked through the corridors as whispers followed her like shadows. Some avoided her eyes. Others stared openly. Kim found out only after his shift ended. When he saw her sitting on the bench outside, staring blankly at the ground, he knew. Keisha, what happened? Kim asked. They think I tried to hurt your mother. Keisha said. What? That's impossible. Sujin. It has to be her. She was there. She knew everything, Keisha said. Rage burned through him, but guilt burned deeper. I should have protected you, Kim said softly. You did once. Then you stopped. She stood up, tears running freely now. I came here to prove I could be something more than a mistake. But maybe they were right, Kim. Maybe I don't belong here. Kim grabbed her hand. Don't you dare say that. You belong here more than anyone. You saved lives, including hers. Then why does it feel like I'm being punished for it? The next day, Mrs. Kim finally opened her eyes. Her son was by her side. What happened? Mrs. Kim said, her tone weak. You fainted. Keisha saved you, Kim replied. She blinked, her lips trembling. Keisha. Her face darkened. I remember. I couldn't breathe. And she hesitated. She froze. Kim's stomach dropped. No, that's not true. You don't remember clearly, Kim said. I remember enough, she replied coldly. Sujin, standing nearby, pretended to comfort her. Don't worry, Mrs. Kim. We'll make sure justice is done, Sujin said. Kim's fists clenched. He saw the satisfaction hidden behind her fake concern. Later that night, in the dark hospital corridor, Kim cornered Sujin. What did you do? Kim said. I told the truth. You lied. Did I? Or are you just angry because the truth isn't what you wanted to hear? Sujin said. If you ever come near her again. What? You'll ruin your career for her. You already lost everything once because of that woman. Don't make the same mistake twice. Sujin replied. He walked away before his rage consumed him. But her laughter followed him down the hall, cold, cruel, and victorious. A few hours later, Keisha received an official notice, suspension pending investigation. She sat alone on the hospital rooftop, the city lights blinking below. The wind whipped her hair across her face, tears freezing against her skin. Everything she had fought for, every sleepless night, every exam, every sacrifice, was slipping away. You promised to be strong. Don't break now, Keisha whispered to herself. Then she heard footsteps. Kim appeared, his face pale, his eyes heavy with regret. I'll fix this. I swear. You can't fix a system that's built to see me fail. Then I'll burn it down if I have to. She looked at him, really looked, and for the first time, she saw not the boy who broke her heart, but the man who was finally ready to fight for her. Below them, in the ICU, Mrs. Kim's monitor beeped steadily, unaware that her survival had lit the spark for a war that could destroy everything. They broke you to see if you'd crawl, but instead, you learned how to rise. The next morning, Seoul woke under a grey sky. Inside Daehan University Hospital, tension thickened like fog. Everyone had heard the rumors. Dr. Jackson suspended. Dr. Kim under scrutiny. Mrs. Kim recovering. But no one knew the truth. Not yet. Keisha stood outside the hospital gate in the cold, watching her dreams vanish behind glass doors. Her suspension letter felt heavier than her white coat. She had worked her whole life for this, and now it was gone, not because she failed, but because someone wanted her destroyed. Her phone buzzed. It was Kim. She didn't answer. She couldn't. Inside, Kim was fighting battles no one could see. His mother's words echoed in his head, sharp and cruel. "You'll lose everything again because of her. Then I'll lose it with pride." He was done hiding. That afternoon, Kim stormed into the hospital board meeting. The directors looked up, startled. Sujin was already there, feigning innocence, her expression polished and cold. "I have proof. Dr. Jackson didn't make a mistake. Someone else tampered with the medication log." "That's a serious claim, Dr. Kim. Do you have evidence?" a board member said. Kim dropped a printed report on the table, hospital security footage, time-stamped and clear. It showed Sujin entering the storage room minutes before the cardiac meds were switched. Gasps filled the room. "That doesn't prove anything." "I was restocking," Sujin said. "Kim, cutting in, you weren't assigned to that ward. You deleted the record. You framed her." For a moment, no one spoke. Then Dr. Han turned to Sujin, his voice low and dangerous. "Is this true?" Sujin's mask cracked. Her eyes darted from Kim to the board. She didn't deserve him. She destroyed his life. I was only giving her what she gave him. Her confession hung in the air like a scream. The board ordered immediate disciplinary action. Sujin was escorted out, her perfect composure collapsing under the weight of her own jealousy. Kim didn't waste a second. He ran out of the room, down the corridor, through the front doors, until he saw Keisha sitting on the steps, her hands buried in her lap. When she looked up, he was already kneeling before her, breathless, eyes wet. "Kim," choking out, "you're cleared. They know the truth now. It's over." What did you do?" "What I should have done 6 years ago. I fought for you." Tears streamed down her face before she could stop them. "I thought I lost everything," she whispered. "Then let's start from nothing, together." He reached for her hand, and this time, she didn't pull away. She let him hold it, not because she was weak, but because she was tired of being strong alone. Later that evening, they walked through the hospital corridors together. People stared, whispering in awe. For once, Keisha didn't feel like an outsider. She felt like she belonged, not because of anyone's approval, but because she had earned it. Mrs. Kim watched from her room window as they passed. Her face softened, lines of pride and pain crossing her expression. When Keisha entered the room, silence filled the air. "How are you feeling, Mrs. Kim, after a pause, "Better. Because of you." Keisha blinked, unsure if she heard right. "I judged you, because I didn't understand you. You saved my life when you had every reason not to. That makes you stronger than me." For the first time, she reached out and took Keisha's hand. "Take care of my son. He's only ever smiled because of you." Tears filled Keisha's eyes. "Thank you." That night, Kim and Keisha stood on the hospital rooftop again, the same place where they once fought, once cried, once let go. The wind was gentle this time, the city glowing beneath them. "Do you remember what you said 6 years ago? That love wasn't enough," Kim said. "I was wrong," she replied. "No. You were right. Love wasn't enough then. But it is now." He reached into his pocket and pulled out something small, a thin silver ring, slightly worn but shining under the city lights. "You left this behind. I've kept it every day since. Kim, marry me again. Not because we're trying to fix the past, but because we finally survived it." For a long moment, the only sound was the wind. Then she nodded, smiling through her tears. "Yes." He slipped the ring back on her finger. This time, it didn't feel like a beginning or an ending. It felt like peace. Down below, the hospital lights flickered softly. The whispers had stopped. The war was over. Kim Young and Keisha Jackson, two people who had once destroyed each other, now stood reborn, hand in hand, above the city that had witnessed their fall. Keisha, smiling faintly, we were broken once. Kim, pulling her close, and now we're beautiful because of it. Under the soul night sky, they kissed, not out of desperation, but out of understanding. And for the first time in years, it didn't feel like a battle. It felt like coming home.